Okay, we'll bring this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, first item on the agenda is a reading and approval of minutes from the October 8, 2024 regular council meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second.
May I have a second? Is there any questions or comments? Okay, great. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Okay, the minutes are approved. Thank you, council. Next item is a reading and approval of minutes from the October 10th, 2024 workshop. This workshop was regarding municipal league training. May I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments about the workshop? Okay, great. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Okay, minutes are approved. Thank you, council. And the last one, reading and approval of minutes from the October 15th workshop. This workshop was regarding the 10-year comp plan and the Pinecrest Industrial Park. May I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments about that workshop? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. All right, minutes are approved. Thank you, council. So the next item on the agenda is we're supposed to have guest speaker Andrew Pinnick from Woodrow Wilson High School. He's the athletic director, but he informed me not too long ago that he wasn't going to be able to make it because Woodrow is currently trying to qualify for this soccer tournament, the state tournament, which will be here hosted by the city of Beckley and has been for several years. I don't know, 20 years. I think he's told me that one other school has hosted since 2021. So I didn't know that. I mean, I knew we had sponsored for a while, but I was impressed that we'd been doing it for that long. So he says, Mayor Neal and Beckley City Council, my name is Andrew Pinnick, and I'm the athletic director at Woodrow Wilson High School. I would first like to apologize that I'm not able to physically be at the meeting tonight, but I'm working at the Paul Klein YMCA complex as the administrator for the AAA Region 3 Section 2 Boys Sectional Semifinal game. As you know, Beckley's been home to the West Virginia SSAC State High School Soccer Tournament for over 20 years. When I took over the job as the athletic director in 2022, I also inherited the honor of being co-director of the tournament with Dave Larrabee. Dave Larrabee works with the West Virginia Soccer Association and is a great asset to the sport and to our community. This tournament has brought a multitude of people from across the state to Beckley to watch the tournament, but also to stay in hotels and visit businesses while they are here. It brings me much joy knowing that our city is a showcase to those coming to watch the tournament. With this, however, comes the financial burden that is inherent whenever a major event is put on. As cost of services increases, so does our budget. For at least the past 5 years, the city of Beckley has been a financial sponsor, partner, and supporter of the tournament. We are again asking for your financial sponsorship of $2,000. I guess that's the amount that we've given previous years. This money goes toward paying for the food for the players, volunteers, match officials, and hospitality rooms. It also supports the security and police force that serve during the tournament. The sponsorship aids in ambulance service for players and those attending, hotel accommodations, trainers, event staff, signage, and general operational costs. In other words, your sponsorship goes a long way. While we have numerous other sponsors for one of the greatest state tournaments, we need your support as well and look forward to the partnership and bringing in another fantastic tournament to soccer fans from around the state. With your sponsorship, the city of Beckley will be added to our sponsorship banners and will be advertised during pregame and during each game as a sponsor of the state tournament. As the saying goes, it takes a village. The West Virginia State High School Soccer Tournament literally takes everyone in our community to come together and make it happen. I'm thankful that the city of Beckley has been supported in the past and hopeful that our partnership will continue into the future as we bid for the tournament to return after this year. Anything worth having is not easy, and I will be the first and definitely not the last to tell you that. That the tournament makes a tremendous amount of work. But I also will tell you that it is very rewarding to see young people come together and competing, laying everything they have on the line over the course of a few days. I'm asking that the city of Beckley help financially with our goal and that we can accomplish a great tournament where we showcase not only the sport of soccer, but our community, businesses, people, and ultimately together we can score. Andrew Pinnick. So we have done this in the past, $2,000. I did talk to him extensively about this, and, you know, I do know for a fact it brings a lot of business into our area, because having the beef jerky store out there on Harper Road, we always had a spike that weekend when the kids from all over the state, families would come in, stay for like 2 or 3 nights. So I can personally say that I have benefited from this state soccer tournament. Like I said, we usually give $2,000, but I don't know if it's different this year, but he highlighted the silver package, which is $2,500. Way less expensive than a diamond sponsorship, which is $10,000, but $2,500. But one of the things I asked Andrew Pinnock that was important is, like, you know, what does, if we sponsor this and we give $2,000 or $2,500, what does the city, what do we get out of this? You know, how are we showcase? And talking to him, I ended up talking to Sergeant Bailey. I think he's a community resource officer. Is that correct? He's in charge of the DARE program, and I and Jessica talked about, you know, can we use some of the opioid money that's set aside? To me, this would be something, in my opinion, something a worthy cause. I mean, you're hosting a state tournament. Sergeant Bailey had said that they would set up a canopy, a tent, that they'd give them a chance to pass out literature, to you know, have cookies and other small snacks, maybe hot chocolates and stuff like that, and get people in our community that are there to stop by and kind of hang out with some of the officers, city council. I thought I'd go for at least one of the 2 days. It's on a Thursday and Saturday. I believe it's November 9th and 11th, but I'm not 100% sure. But it is coming up pretty soon. So having said all that, may I have a motion to approve the $2,500 contribution to be given for sponsorship level
So move.
to the state soccer tournament? And then, is there any questions or comments from anybody? Jessica, I know you were checking with the state, if you want to talk about that.
I did check with the state attorney general, and they did approve, if we were to do a banner or something of that means, to promote the opioid situation. Yes, we absolutely can use the opioid funds for that.
Great. So you did get that approved since we talked?
Yep.
Wow, that's
Sure.
awesome. I wasn't sure if we found that out yet.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, so did you want to raise the amount?
I mean, I just see the silver sponsorship that he highlighted was $2,500. I guess every other time it's come out of the general fund, but
Yes.
but
So
if that's
we've-
approved through the state,
In the past years, last year was the first year we paid $2,000. In the previous years, we paid $1,000. He had requested $2,000 on his paperwork, so, but it's up to you guys what you want to contribute.
And I know Billy Trump said when we had the Babe Ruth teams going to Illinois, don't we have an allowance of $1,000 apiece, and then we all contribute 500?
I think you guys have already used half of your
We've
money there.
used
Yep.
500 of
Yep.
it.
We use 500 of them, we have
Yeah.
500 left.
right, but this way it comes straight out of the
Opioid
Okay.
funds.
settlement
Yep.
money,
Yep.
you know, and, yeah, I thought it was pretty neat talking to him, and you know, Andrew Pinnock's like, listen, we'll give you the platform. I asked him, I said, what banner, what was our message on the banners? He didn't really remember, but I thought it'd be cool, you know, to have stuff about the DARE program, and but also we should have a banner out there on the fence that just welcomes people to the city of Beckley. I mean, it's a branding opportunity for the city of Beckley, so, you know, we still got like 2 weeks or something like that to kind of iron out all the details, but, you know, I think we just kind of take advantage of the opportunity. And hopefully Woodrow Wilson will be one of the teams, one of the 16 teams in the tournament. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
Mayor, I do have something. We
Yes.
have had other people ask for opioid money. Is that setting us up for that? I mean, I know that it's an allowable thing, but for other people that have done that, I'm just.
Yeah, great point.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
it does open the door for others then at that point.
The only thing about the opioid money that I see is I think we need to have the workshop and actually figure out how we spend it. Personally, I think we just maybe use this out of the general fund, and then, I mean, if Officer Bailey's still willing to go, and then that way we can have a designated plan of how we're going to spend the opioid money before we dabble into it, is my opinion.
Since
I mean,
others have been in line to
would-
get
would it-
some of that.
Yeah, would it be a problem to spend 2,500 out of the general fund?
We could afford to do that. Yep.
I'll make a motion that we spend 2,500 out of the general fund, just because,
Be the
and then we'll, until we get everything lined up on the opioid money. I don't want to start spending out of it until we have our designated
Right,
plan that we
this would be
spoke
the-
about.
This would be the
The
first
first.
thing, and we kind of knew that. You know, my point was like, you know, you're hosting
No,
a
I
state
totally
tournament, but I
understand.
totally get that too, you know,
Yeah.
because we have talked before about having a workshop and figuring out how much of that money, you know, you want to use each year, you know, and then what you want the money to go to, prevention or,
Yeah.
or whatever, so.
That's my personal opinion. I mean, I'll make that motion. to
Well, it was
use-
already a motion, I think, on the floor for
Yeah, I
the
know.
2,500. Then I
You
just
amended it.
asked a question. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Just amend the motion.
Okay, so may I have a motion to amend the motion to, instead of using the opioid money, just take it out of the general fund?
So move.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say nay. Okay, so it is amended. So, Mr. Fowler, let me ask you, do we still vote again?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So now may I have a motion to approve the $2,500 contribution to be the sponsor of this year's state soccer tournament hosted by the city of Beckley?
So move.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say nay. Okay, it's moved. Thank you, council. All right, next is the appointment and approval of Case Polling to the Board of Directors for the Beckley Sanitary Board. I did not know if Case Polling is here today.
I haven't seen.
What about Jeremiah Johnson? Is he here today?
Come on, it's not here.
Okay. Well, I was gonna let them comment if they were here, but, so again, may I have a motion to appoint Case Polling to the Board of Directors for the Beckley Sanitary Board?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
If you want me to explain very briefly.
Yeah, of course, Mr. Fowler.
We have John Sadowski, who has been the engineer serving on the sanitary board for a number of years. He's been a tremendous contributor to the sanitary board, and he is ready to retire from that position. So that is why we have checked to see and asked Case Poland if he would be interested in serving. He's very interested in doing that. He is an engineer by trade, and he also is a professor at West Virginia University Tech. So he's very excited about this. He's been attending meetings. He, I think, is going to be a very good addition to the sanitary board. And Jeremiah is very much in favor of this appointment.
Any other questions or comments?
I agree with Mr. Fowle. I think Case would be really good for this. He has a passion for the community. And like you said, he's a professor at West Virginia Tech, and he's showed interest in it, so I'm in agreement.
Okay, great. Well then, all in favor of approving Case Polling to the Board of Directors for the Beckley Sanitary Board, say so by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Okay, thank you, council. Next item is the first reading of an ordinance for the 10-year comprehensive plan. At this point, I'll turn it over to Mr. Fowle to elaborate a little bit more on this.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, tonight will be the first reading on this ordinance. This is an ordinance in which we're requesting City Council to adopt the comprehensive plan. It's titled the Beckley 2045 Comprehensive Plan. It's an update of actually the 2014 plan, and there has been a committee that's been working on this for a number of months. There have been a number of public hearings, public meetings concerning this. There's been a tremendous amount of time and effort put in by one, Miss Angela King, who's kind of headed this up for the city of Beckley. She is here tonight if anybody has any questions. And tonight, what we would need to do is for council to accept from the Planning Commission their recommendation that this plan be approved. The Planning Commission met earlier today, and they unanimously recommended that City Council accept this plan. There will now be a public hearing held by City Council, which should take place the first meeting of November. And it'll be a public hearing here in the chambers, and it'll be another opportunity for the public to speak about this comprehensive plan. And so tonight, though, is the first step, and we're asking for a motion to adopt this comprehensive plan. There will be a second reading and a public hearing, as I stated, the first meeting of November.
Okay. So with that, may I have a motion to approve the ordinance as presented? So moved. May I have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. So moved. Thank you, council. All right, next item is the opening of bids for the milling and paving of G Street from the intersection of South Canal Street to the intersection of Canada Street. So now I will open the bids. I think we got 2 of them. Is that correct, Jessica?
While you're opening the bids, I just want to thank Pam, and I know Denise C. wants to thank you also, because she lives on G Street. Yes.
Okay, the first bid is from AAA Paving and Sealing Incorporated. And the total cost, $51,975. And then the second bid is from Southern West Virginia Paving in the amount of $78,200. And we'll pass this one.
No, is this right beside, this is right beside the elementary school, correct? So did the contractors not hold up their obligation of fixing it? Okay. To just finish, this is just to finish the rest, so they fixed what they had messed up? Okay. I hadn't been over there in a few weeks, so, thank you.
Yeah. And again, the bids will be reviewed by the Director of Board of Public Works, Pam Fry, 2 city council member persons at large, and the interim recorder treasurer for possible award at a future meeting. All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is discussion and action by city council on the ordinance authorizing city of Beckley to convey 131.47 acres of real estate, more or less, located in the Pinecrest Industrial Park in Beckley, Raleigh County, to the Raleigh County Commission for the purpose of economic development. Mr. Fowler, is there anything you want to comment on this?
Just very briefly, at the last meeting, you may recall that there was a motion eventually made after some discussion to basically postpone this ordinance. And they asked that a workshop be held by city council prior to this matter being brought back before council. A workshop was scheduled and was held on, I believe it was October the 15th. I think it was a very productive workshop. I know the coach from Woodrow Wilson High School was there, and he certainly spoke, as did Jim Sheesley. And I believe Ms. Jenna Belcher also spoke. And council had an opportunity to discuss in depth this matter. And so that did take place. So now it is back on the agenda. So it's up to council now if they would like to act on this ordinance. This ordinance, I will remind everyone, first came to council, I believe it was on September the 10th. And at that time, it passed on first reading. It came back for second reading and a public hearing on, I believe it was September the 24th. And there was no motion at that time made. It was read by title, but there was no motion, no action taken whatsoever at that time. And then, so it did come back on another agenda, which would have been the agenda of October the 8th. At that time, there was a motion made to postpone this matter until after a workshop was held by council. That did occur. So tonight, this is the next council meeting following the workshop. So it is on the agenda, and it is open to council to act if it chooses. Mayor?
Mayor, have some items.
Well,
May I
Would-
please
I think
acknowledge?
if there's debate or anything like that, we'll get it to second it. Move to
I
second
have
first.
some amendments to go forward.
Well, we gotta
Absolutely.
still bring it, so,
Absolutely.
yeah, wait till we get to that point.
Well, I have amendments to do before we go forward. That would be something
still
that I
to
have for,
start this before anything can be debated.
Right,
or
this matter
discussed.
needs to be, I believe, on the floor before it can be
Right.
amended. So it would take a motion to.
So I made-
Excuse me. It would take a motion at this time to adopt this ordinance on second reading and a second. Once that's done, then it can be open to discussion and can be open to amendments.
okay.
Okay, so at this point, may I have a motion to approve the transfer of the 131.47 acres of real estate over to the Raleigh County Commission for Economic Development?
So move.
Second.
Second. Are there any questions or comments?
I have comments.
Okay, go ahead.
I have some amendments before we go forward. These are similar to the transfer agreement, and these, I printed these off for all of our elected officials, from Ms. Bullock and Councilman Buchanan and Councilman Williams, Councilwoman Dingus, Councilwoman Coots, and Mayor Neal. Got yours?
Come on.
We had items in front of us before Pinecrest transfer the property to us, and these are similar, if not mirror, what we had for Pinecrest. Amendment 1 is if any parts of this transfer agreement are not met, and upon demand of the Common Council of the City of Beckley, the Raleigh County Commission will transfer the property to the City of Beckley for economic development. All improvements and leases will also be transferred. Any debts incurred by the Raleigh County Commission related to this property will not transfer from the Raleigh County Commission to the City of Beckley. And the purpose is to provide a check to ensure development occurs in accordance with this agreement. This is in accordance with existing covenants contained in the deeds.
Excuse me, do you think that we might have I can go make some copies for the three of us. We don't have a
Well,
copy.
I felt, Ann, that this should be for people that were elected officials, but if you want a copy, I can surely give you a copy.
I mean, I'll be happy to.
Yeah, and also, I might point out, actually, the charter requires that any ordinance or any amendments be presented to the city council, to the city attorney prior to it being presented.
Oh, okay.
So
Mr. Fowle, I'll be more than happy to give
Thank
you
you.
the, and I have one. Oh, I have one. Oh, we want this one. Okay, yes. Okay, yes. And Jessica, you have one? There you go. So may I proceed, Mr. Fowle, since now you have a copy?
thank you.
Okay. So I guess we needed a motion on Amendment 1, Mayor?
I mean, exactly what are you trying to amend
What I just read.
at the last second, but you just,
These
I
are-
mean, we've not had time to look this over or anything, and I
Well,
don't know
these
if
are
that's.
these were things that were also exactly the same items that
But what do you-
mirror with the, well, I
What are you
just,
asking to amend? So with the.
I want to
with
make
the
sure.
transfer of the property from the city to the Raleigh County.
It states everything, Mayor
I
Neal.
want to hear your words. What do you exactly, what's your amendment that you're trying to, what do you want to get
There
amended?
were several amendments. There were actually, when you go over all of these, there are several to ensure that our constituents in the city are going to, if we're giving this to the county commission, and it's several millions of dollars of property, that we need to make sure that we've done our due diligence and make sure that what the Pinecrest gave to us, that we're giving right back to the county commission, to make sure that they are ensuring that we're gonna get the same thing that we voted upon.
Well, I might point out, the ordinance actually authorizes the city of Beckley to convey this property to the county commission, but it is going to be subject to an agreement that we will be working out with the county commission. So there will be terms, certainly in that agreement, that must be approved by council and by the county commission. I haven't seen these before. I don't know if these may be good,
Well,
they may not be.
those mirror exactly what we were given when we accepted the property from Pinecrest
Okay.
in the very, very beginning. You can see that they're pretty similar.
Would the transfer not already hold the county as reliable as we were, Mr. Fowle? Like, aren't they technically with the covenants and the deeds, they're under the same stipulations as we currently are, correct?
Right, that will be part of the transfer, part of the agreement that will be
So at that point,
worked out.
at that point, if there's, since everyone had to follow that, there's really no sense in doing the amendments because they're going to do the exact same, they're going to be under the same stipulations we were, correct?
Yes, that is correct. And these, as I said, I haven't read these, but these will most likely be very similar to what will be in the agreement that will have to be signed off by the county commission and by the city of Beckley at the time of the transfer of the property. And you're stating you want to amend, I'm not sure.
I just
Where
want to
these
ensure that everything, I mean, that's why I brought it a copy for everybody that was elected so that we could see it. I'm sorry that it was last minute, but oftentimes we get budget revisions at last minute that we have to approve, not to throw anybody under the bus, but, you know, we just want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence. I mean, if we're giving the property away to the county commission, we need to ensure that we're doing the right thing for our constituents that have put us in, and those are tough questions and tough decisions. And I just feel like needs to be brought forward, that we want to do the same. Ron, I know you're shaking your head.
I am shaking my head.
Well, I mean, I want to make sure,
Sorry.
I want to make sure that the county is going to do exactly what we did when we accepted the property from Pinecrest.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do hear what you're saying. But the point is, they've been working on this for 2 years, well before my time, when you all were there.
We did-
I mean,
yeah,
back
that's true.
2 years ago, March 2022, you all, again, before my time, Natalie Coots' time, a couple of the others.
Some of
So as we talked about in
that-
the workshop, we've had the due diligence. We've had the workshops. We've discussed everything that could be discussed. We had the attorney that drew up the lease.
But I think that
That
that's
basically
true.
said that, you know, we will be sued by Pinecrest if we do not transfer this property for economic development. So, what do you mean so? I mean, I don't want to see our city get sued, and I think it's pretty irresponsible for us to sit up
Well-
here and put the city in a
well,
lawsuit when,
Well, according to some of these amendments, I mean, they're talking about that it can't be sold, leased, or otherwise transferred to any business owned and part of a family member of a commissioner or a council member. There can't be construction done by a family member or a council member. I mean, are those, I mean, those are kind of, seem like they're pointing towards one person, don't they?
yeah,
Well, I mean,
These are not, these are not really.
Someone that's never done work for the city, by the way.
Well,
Quite a bit of this,
think that-
a good number of these amendments are not something that's been contained in any prior agreement. These are basically changing quite a bit of the intent of the original agreement. You know, you've got, you've got several items in here that,
well, you don't want to put yourself in a bad position. I
I
mean,
think there's a
showing that.
motion and a second on the floor. Can we vote on that?
there needs to be, once there's a motion and a second on any amendment, if there's an amendment that, I assume, Ms. Hunter, you were making amendment one, is that what you're doing? Is that starting out?
That
Or
was
you
the
want
first
all
one.
the amendments at one time?
Well, I was going to read all those at the same time, but since you weren't able, since I just brought them to you, but I thought I needed to give them to elected officials.
Well,
going
to
forward.
amend, let me point out, what has to occur now is there has to be a motion to approve the amendments. And right now, the only motion that's on the floor is a motion to approve
Transfer.
second reading of the ordinance, which authorizes the city of Beckley to transfer the property to the county commission, but it's going to be subject to an agreement that will be worked out between the county and
The
the city.
second reading on September 24th, that didn't get a motion, that was your,
Right, there's been a second, we can do a second
Mhm.
reading tonight. We've already had the public hearing on this. We had quite a lengthy public hearing. and the
even though we
public
started,
did-
Mr. Fowle, I'm
Yes, ma'am.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Even though we started over, does that mean that we could have a first reading and a second reading and another public hearing? Since it was dead and we brought it back up, would that not be feasible?
No, we are not starting over. This is the same ordinance that was presented
Okay.
On September the 10th. and
I
was
just want to
approved for
ensure that
first
all of our
reading.
bases are covered going forward so
Sure.
that the city's going to get what they frankly.
Yeah,
want.
Councilmember
On
Williams.
your, I'm just pointing out, on your amendments, there will need to be a vote taken on the amendments, whether to approve the amendments.
Okay.
They can either be voted up or down,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
But it has to, each
Council-
amendment will have to have a second.
Okay, go ahead.
The question, I mean, the amendments that she's saying, if I'm hearing her right, those amendments would be discussed between the parties after the property has been approved or disapproved, or approved by Pinecrest and everybody that's involved. Am I hearing that right?
Yes, what will happen is, there's already been some discussion with the attorney for the county commission, Mr. Root. He is aware that there is an agreement that will be expected, and that there's reference made in our ordinance that there will be an agreement between the county commission and the city of Beckley. Currently, there is no agreement between the county commission. The agreement that Beckley is operating under currently is with Pinecrest.
Correct.
So we'll have to have an agreement with the party that we're transferring the property to, which is the Raleigh County Commission.
Okay.
And so, yes, there will be that. Now, some of these
Let's vote then.
amendments, I'm confident will not be in an agreement.
But that'll give everybody a chance to look at it, so we just need to
Right.
vote on the motion. Am
You
I correct?
need to vote right now on, if there's a motion and a second to amend, that needs to be voted on. If it's voted down, then we move on with the second reading, the vote on the second reading of the ordinance to approve the ordinance.
So again, are you wanting me to make a motion to amend all 7 amendments, or one at a time, or
It was the first one.
There's 12.
12 of them? All right, may I have a motion to amend the action? Anyone? Okay, so no action taken on that. So now is it back to, any other questions or comments before we vote? Does anybody else have anything they want to comment on?
I'd just like to say this is a strong council, and I know we act strong for the city. We're not going to vote the same on this, but I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to be here to lead the city. I mean, we're known as the medical hub, education hub, retail hub, restaurant hub. We just got to get more jobs here. We got to be a job hub instead of a restaurant hub or retail hub. I mean, we got all these education centers and educational hub. We got so many universities sitting here. And the kids stay here, they go to universities here, train them, and they leave. And this is just an opportunity for us to keep our young workforce, which we say our children, our greatest resources here, or give them the opportunity after college. So, in that song, Tracy Lawrence always says, time marches on. The only thing that changes is change. So
Any
that's all
other
I'm going to say
questions or
about that.
comments? Thank you. Kip, any other questions? I'm going to say this too. I think Councilmember Buchanan is absolutely right. I was at the meet the candidates a couple mornings ago. Tony Martin, some of the other people that were running for office here in a couple weeks, they spoke, and a lot of the questions directed to them, and a lot of the response, even if they weren't asked a question, they talked about, and it's how do you keep your young professionals here? How do you keep your top talent? How do you they're going to go where the opportunities are. And I certainly have respect for Coach Barbera. I have respect for the kids that come up and spoke, and how articulate they were, how much passion they had for the. I get all that, But the sad reality, they're probably top of their class at Woodrow Wilson. They're probably going to go on to college and be successful. But the sad reality is, they'll probably be successful somewhere other than Beckley, West Virginia. And we've got to figure out a way to reverse the trend. I was talking to Fred Persinger the other day on the radio show. And when Kip Buchanan, myself, Cody Rudy's dad was at Woodrow Wilson, the 88 to 90, we were the second biggest high school in the state. Fred Persinger told me this, like right now we're like the 16th. That's a huge decline. And I just think it's important to look, and when you have an opportunity like we saw at the workshop, the businesses that this will bring in, the jobs it's going to provide, you really have to look at what's best for the city. So anybody else have anything they want to comment on?
It would be great. What's best for the city is for us to retain that property and let those that are here to be able to develop that, because that's the city property.
We
So,
were against
anyway.
that just a few months ago
Yeah.
when we weren't going to get a bond for it.
Right.
Well, and then I asked
Well, you
about
have
the extra money.
131.47 acres. And I am quite sure that all of the adults can come together as stakeholders and come up with an agreement. And I'm hoping that Mr. Barbera could be able to name you have done a lot of work over there. And I know
Yes.
you have, that you will be able to still name that property after, I think you said your parents, right? And I think as stakeholders, I think we are adults, and I believe we can come together and make this happen. Like I said, it is 131.47 acres. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Anybody else want to comment? Or- Okay, all in favor of transferring the property to the Raleigh County Commission for the purpose of economic development, please say so by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay, the vote counts. Thank you, council. We'll move on to, next item on the agenda is old business. Does anyone have any old business?
Yes, Mayor, I do.
Go ahead, Councilmember Williams.
At the last council meeting, myself and Ms. West didn't end the council meeting that great. So Ms. West, I owe you apology for my action from last meeting, and I hope you accept my apology. That's it, Mayor.
Okay, anybody else?
This has been discussed before, recognizing citizens. I know that Mr. Mosley has talked about it, and I would like us to try to come up with something. Maybe each of us in our ward can have certificates to grant, and somebody can apply to memorialize as these two, or recognize these citizens. It is important. It draws us together as a community. So maybe we could discuss that at a later time. I don't want to extend this meeting. So if we could maybe come up with something, just so that we could recognize these citizens, that's important.
I agree with you.
It's good, thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
Well, on that topic, maybe something like we could think of is every year, maybe, we do at the beginning of our fiscal year, so July 1, say we have open, people can send in, family members, friends can send
Yes.
in something to us as council members, have some kind of forum that we can do it, and then say July 1, the council has not really spirited back because that's already a thing, but some kind of certificate in that, way to highlight, these people that have done so many great things within the city. But maybe that's something we can think of and find some way, people to enter names and suggestions, and then we could all collectively come together and pick one person to honor, and maybe even do something in here with them and have their picture and a little bio of what they've done.
Or even just give the family a certificate.
Yeah, have a certificate and have them come up. Yeah, no, I agree.
Could give them a key to the city.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's true.
I believe in the past, there have been people recognized that way, and it was called the Outstanding Citizens Award. So it's something certainly could work
Very
on.
good, okay.
Anyone else? Okay, moving on to new business. Anyone have any new business?
Mayor, I
Yes.
just wanted to mention, Reverend Walter Leach mentioned to me that he would like to have like a marker on his street, on Rice Street, where his church is, St. Paul Baptist Temple. I told him that I didn't think the name could be changed because everyone on the street would have to agree. So he was just saying if he could have a marker there, that's Reverend Walter Leach, his corner, or however way that we could put it there, that he would really appreciate that.
Okay.
I just told him I'd mention it to you
Sure.
all. Okay. Thank
Yeah, I
you.
have some.
Thank you.
Chief, thank you for what you and the detectives are doing to help with the situation and investigating what happened at Sunset. The other day, I was going up Harper Road, and there was a bloodhound being led. It was, no one knew what was going on at that time, but I guess they were tracking the scent of that. That was just to see that in action. So thank you, because I know that's out of city limits, and I appreciate the resources and trying to, that is just a horrible incident. I mean, it's horrific to see what occurred up there, so.
And going
Thank
on
you.
that topic, we really got to come together and get some ordinances or something. Me and my wife went to Charlotte area. We stayed in Mooresville this weekend. It was our anniversary last week, so we did a little getaway from the baby. And but we bounced around all around Mooresville, Charlotte, Concord, And I promise you, I seen 2 people on the street corner with the sign in all those big areas. You can't go down 3 stoplights in Beckley without seeing that. So I mean, there's no reason. We got to figure out. Well, I think we know what the problems are. We got to take care of the problems and do better for our city. I mean, you have what happened at the cemetery is a disgrace, and I'm sure that there was a fire right up the road that we're all aware of. I'm sure that's probably in play as well. I mean, and all the other abandoned houses have caught on fire in the last few years within our city. We got to take control of our city and get it back. And like I said, I paid attention, and I was like, I know there has to be more people in these big areas than Beckley, but there wasn't. I seen 2 people in 2.5 days driving around. So we got to do something. We got to
do
come
need
together.
to go ahead and enact the safety patrol that we talked about, and pair up with United Way to do other ways to give.
Yeah, we got to get the ball rolling.
I would like to invite the mayor from Parkersburg and have a Zoom meeting with him, what he did there with the retired police officers that are on the street with people. Yeah.
That was Parkersburg? You the retired mayor?
No, he is the mayor.
Current mayor,
Current
retired
mayor-
officer, sorry.
Retired officers. Mayor Tom Joyce has a great program. He was on the Hoppy Kercheval show a couple months ago. I reached out and spoke with him, and that seemed to help Parkersburg. So we'll go forward with that. And also, I like what Trina Daisel brought forward.
Oh, yeah.
That better way to
was a
give.
great idea.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And you got any updates?
Well, I want to check with Angela about the comprehensive plan. Is there going to be a draft at the reception area for the public to come and look at for the public hearing?
Yes, there's 2 copies out there now that you just can't take it with you, but you're more than welcome to look over it. But it's also on our website. You go to the City of Beckley's webpage, there's a big banner right there that says 2024 Comprehensive Plan, and click on it and it'll bring you to the draft.
Will copies be made available to the public if they ask? Not everyone is on a computer.
It's that,
It should be public information, wouldn't it? Or is it the comprehensive?
I think, yes. Oh, absolutely. We can furnish copies if somebody wants a copy.
I just wanted the public to know that if they wanted to stop by and look at it here, it is available at City Hall.
and I don't know how I'll figure out, but we did put it on our Facebook page as well, that it's available on our webpage right now. We just put it out, the physical copy here in the office today. So, and there will be something in the paper about it as well.
Good. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Angela. Anybody else have any new business? Remember, we do not have another meeting before Election Day, so 2 weeks from today.
I guess
Election day?
I should give kudos. It's been a while. You know, we had the water problem at Wildwood. My dad always talked about giving orchids and onions to people, whether they deserve them. Nobody deserves any onions. I just want to say thank you to Donnie at Code and Jeannie, Mr. Wooten at the water company, Captain Coughlin. Am I leaving anybody out? Oh, the state fire marshal who came. Those were the people responsible for getting the water back on at Wildwood. It would have been a lot longer time if everybody, all those departments had not worked together. So I just wanted to say thank you. That's in my ward. That affected a lot of people that needed help. So I thank you.
Okay, great. Anything else? No, then we'll move on to public comments. Remember, public comments, when you come up, state your name, your address. Just be respectful. I mean, this is a business meeting, just, no vulgar or discriminatory language. And first up with that, I'll bring up Mary West.
Hello, everyone.
Lead by
Once
example.
again, I am here because I have not had much rest since last Tuesday's meeting, talking about the comprehensive plan, and you guys are still going on, and the public don't know much about it until you all discuss it. Now, I want to know, because I've been coming here for years, and you all just totally refuses to do anything for me on LaRue Avenue. Are we part of your comprehensive plan, because I'm beginning to feel that you all are gonna be coming after us after a while, in Maine, and wanna take our homes, because she was talking about connecting ways into the city. And that light wasn't put down there just to be put, because when I brought my home, that was a quiet neighborhood. And now, just like you all trying to take the cross-country track from the kids, please don't try to take our homes from us, because we are on the racetrack road over there, and nobody wants to help. And I am still asking you guys to do something down there. Now, they're getting ready to do this out here for one-way, no. Come on down and make LaRue a one-way. Put a sidewalk on one side of the street, we can park on the other side. Make that a one-way. Then you can make Myers go back the other way. I don't care what you do, but it's time to do something, because we have been sitting there too long. I have been begging too long. And I serve my country, and I can't even get help. And I've been doing this for just about 20 years. And the only thing I got out of it was a four-way stop down there that people don't even stop at. So if you all can help us down there, I am still asking for it to be done. Because I feel that something is in the making that's not right. And thank you, Mr. Hunter, for letting me know what you took the pictures for about 10 years or so ago. Because I said, I believe those pictures were taken when that dirty deal was going on for Black Night between the mayor and Justice. That was a dirty deed at that time. Too much dirtiness be going on, because he was already in
30
office.
seconds.
How did we even sell, buy the Black Knight Country Club with our tax dollars when he's sitting in office? Take care of it.
Mayor,
Thank you, Mayor.
I'm sorry, can, Ms. Van Horn lives on LaRue, can I ask her a question?
Oh, absolutely.
Can I? Are you having problems with traffic there in the front of your house? I know where you live.
Actually say, so my daughter-in-law, my son.
Can she come to the mic? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Absolutely, come on up.
Sorry. She
I'm
can,
not texting, I'm taking.
okay.
Don't be seen rude. So my name is Aretha Van Horn. I live on LaRue Avenue.
Okay.
405 LaRue Avenue, and I've lived there since 2002. We moved here for ministry. Since I've been there, I've watched Miss West and when Miss Jones was alive, and they've invited me to the meetings and everything. And my daughter-in-law was backing out of my yard, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, it's like a speedway." And I mean, she's 30. They have a young baby. Now they have those vehicles that make all those rings and dings, and so it warns her. But if I am an elderly person, or I am a kid coming across the street, and there are a few children in our neighborhood, that traffic does come through there very fast. And that sign, that little light that signs up, that light that lights up, the 25, I like having that on the street, and I like having it down by the college, because sometimes if I'm not paying attention or not focused, that light pops up and I'm like, ooh, you need to slow yourself down. And so it's sometimes just a reminder, but,
So you thought that sign worked?
oh, yes.
Oh.
So it's an alert for me if I'm just driving and my mind is somewhere else maybe. I'm trying to be focused, but I see that 25 and it's like, you need to slow down, which then when I get to other streets that have people on them and their animals and children and kids and everything, and your elderly people. We have a gentleman that sometimes is in his wheelchair, and even when he's walking, he's not very stable on his feet sometimes. I mean, he's very elderly. And so it's dangerous for him and the others that are walking. So,
Sorry, I put you on the spot. It's all right.
but thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, thank you.
All right, next, Vicki Webb.
My name is Vicki Webb. I live at 425 South Lafayette Street. And I just wanted everyone to know that I'm no longer the volunteer coordinator for the Beckley Welcome Center. We were sent notice that we were to close the center down on the 9th, on October the 12th. But I did want to highlight some of the high points we had at the center, that it was an eyesore. Now we call it the crown jewel of Beckley. And I want to thank everybody that participated in the revitalization of the building, and from volunteers to college students to community people helping out. Our first bike donation was from Pete Tarico. Boy Scouts put it together. I did get a email from Ms. Chandler requesting payroll reports to be given to Ms. Baker for January. I did not handle any payroll for the Welcome Center because I'm a volunteer. That was done through Parks and Recreation, and any information that was needed for payroll reports can be gotten there. Also, my key was requested to be turned in on the 12th, and I turned it in on the 15th to Public Works. But I want to say that little building has just been, to me, a good point of view for the city to have something positive, the bikes for the kids. And if City Council decides to use that building for something else other than the Welcome Center, the Nath family has requested that the 3 bikes they purchased through a nonprofit be returned to them. And we wish you well on the center at this point.
Thank you, Vicki.
I have some questions.
I do too.
Janine, you have questions too?
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Is it closing permanently,
Or is it just for the season?
or is it just for the season?
Yes, it was just for the season.
Well, we were told that
It's
the
just a
building-
seasonal
Yes,
closing.
We were told that it was being closed by a city staff person that came to the building.
Who came to the building? Who was there? Who was there?
It was a city person came to pick up some equipment, told us that the building was going to be closed.
Okay, I'm
Was
just
gonna
trying to
be shut
find out what happened. Because it wasn't supposed to close until the end of October, is that correct? Am I
Normally,
correct?
that's when we normally.
Okay, so why was it closed October 12th? Anybody have to, please address?
Yes, I had been requesting reports from Ms. Webb on her payroll, trying to determine why there were so many employees were there, what they were accountable for, how many visitors they were seeing. She continues to tell us that there is this information out there, and I've requested it several times and not had any luck receiving the information, so we closed it early for the season, since we didn't have that information.
Well, the information we don't normally accumulate till at the end. And anytime you need detail, like how many people walked to the center, how many people drove cars, there's no way we could have got that information. You have to request that at the beginning of the season. So a detailed report that you're requesting, we don't have some of the information that you're requesting.
But I received no information after multiple requests.
You have one request. I have the email.
Well, we met with you also in September and asked for information, and you assured us that you would provide that to us, and seen
We don't-
nothing.
Well, our report's not done until the end of August. That's what I'm saying.
Well, it was to close for the season and not forever.
Sure.
So why is it that council wasn't notified before this occurred? That's my question.
Good question, Councilwoman.
I found out from an employee. I didn't know either.
I mean, does everything have to be run by council on things like that? I mean, in my point of view, you know, city council's kind of
We should have been
asked the
notified.
tough questions about it, but I mean,
But that's a
is
good
that
question,
big a
Mayor.
deal to close down 2 weeks early for something that closes seasonally anyway?
If we're used to, that's when the season closes, and that's when the data can be given, I think that you're doing an injustice to the Welcome Center, doing it early. And if we know from years past that we've been open until the end of October, we're gonna necessarily think that if somebody asks us, is it gonna be open, then we would think that it would be at the end of October, only because it had
Right.
been done previously.
My response to your question, Mayor Neal, is that I believe we should have received an email
That it was going to close early?
that it was going to close early, and the situation maybe like what Ms. Chandler just explained to us. Then that way we're not blindsided.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, I'll take responsibility for that as interim city manager. I should have done that. That is I'm sorry about that I did not do that. I felt at the time that the budgeting and we needed to have those funds accountable, how they had been spent throughout the season and moving forward, that Ms. Webb needed to, check in with Leslie Baker, who was the supervisor, but was never kept in the loop about what was going on at the Welcome Center with regard to budgeting and salaries and things like that. So that is my fault. I will take responsibility for that and apologize. I just felt like, she had been told a couple times to provide that information to us, did not do that, and so I decided to close it down
Well, my
for the
question-
season.
My question is this, y'all saying she should have provided the budget and all that, the budget they should have sat down with Ms. Webb about the budget at the beginning of the year. Am I correct? I mean, for you, what you're saying is that,
We were requesting next year's budget information
no,
in our
I'm
meeting.
not talking about next year, I'm talking
Right.
about this year here. Y'all didn't close it down based on
Well,
this coming, no, let me finish. Y'all did not close it down based on this coming year. I'm talking about this past season. Miss Leslie Baker and Miss Webb should have sit down and made a budget themselves. So you saying that Leslie didn't know anything about the budgets down at the center, I'm down at the what's it called?
Yes, sir.
You said that she didn't know anything about?
Yes, sir.
Well, why wouldn't she?
Because apparently Ms. Webb ran everything through Mr. Trump and Mayor Rappold.
But it's under recreation, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so you can't fault Ms. Webb because the mayor and Billy Trump didn't include Ms. Leslie with that.
Well, I just know that Ms. Webb ran everything through Mayor Rappold and Mr. Trump, that Ms. Baker was not included in that, and not kept in the loop. And so when, we wanted some accountability for the funding moving forward, and
So-
that was never
So you
provided.
feel there's been some injustice done down there?
I do.
Okay, like what?
I believe that after being asked for 2 times, two separate meetings, and being assured that the information was going to be provided to us, it was not provided to us.
What information did you ask for that you didn't provide?
I asked for the number of visitors that were coming in daily, what their staff hours were, when the facility was open, just basic questions about the facility to kind of get a grasp on why we were spending the money we were on the
Okay, so
situation.
now let me ask you a question then. You seen this money going out, did you address, before all this come to an end, at quarterly meetings or quarterly amount of money, did y'all not have quarterly, did y'all waited to the end to give her a call and ask for this information?
I didn't inherit this problem till July 1st.
I do want to say that, Ms. Audra, you gave a wonderful summary. I think that everybody was here and we all commented all the positive things. Ms. Webb, thank you for everything you've done. Audra, okay.
And my opinion on this, I think they have the ability to request that and to close it down. I think that's a part of the city manager's responsibility. But the only problem I had was we weren't made aware of it. That's my opinion. I think that's a part of the city manager's day-to-day operations is to make decisions like that and department heads' decisions. So I think that part we can't really question because that's their job. But I think that we should have received the information that this was going to happen and explanation of why, and then we wouldn't be here today.
And I apologize for that, and I'm very sorry about that. I'm just trying to do the best I can on a day-to-day basis. Never having held a position, I'm just trying to hold on by the seat of my pants and steer the ship. So I'm sorry.
I agree with, sorry. Go ahead, Council.
You got the city recorder, you had Billy Trump, everybody know the numbers, everybody know what's going on down there, then all of a sudden that you ask for, before, y'all should have known what was going on down there. It's just like recently, y'all asking for this stuff. And before you wasn't asking for this. It was just going on by itself.
It
Without y'all
wasn't my
knowledge.
job previously to do that.
Say it again?
It wasn't my job to do that previously.
Well, whose
I was
job
in a
was
different
it?
position.
It was Mr. Trump.
Mr. Trump.
So who is the payroll clerk for the
That's what I'm
Welcome
saying.
Center? Who is the payroll clerk?
The city of Beckley handles the payroll for that.
Who,
So-
I'm
so-
saying, what person individually handles it?
So our payroll clerk for the entire city,
No, for the Welcome Center,
for the Welcome Center,
when they would turn in their timesheets.
Leslie, who
handles
turns in the
that?
time for them?
Okay.
So you could get the information from Beverly, right?
Not the information I was requesting. I had the payroll information. I just didn't have all the facts to go with the payroll.
There's no way in the world they can tell you how many people come into that center, how many people walk by. There's no way possible. No way. I mean, if a person walks through the door, okay, you're gonna check. Person walked through the door. Come on now.
Well, I don't think that's too hard to do, though.
I
mean,
don't
it's
think so
really
either.
not. I mean, I agree that you should be accountable. You should, I mean, somebody's gotta be in charge.
I'm not
And
saying,
a simple question of how many people have come through each
I'm-
day
I'm not
is
saying
not
that-
that difficult of
I'm not
answer.
saying nobody's being accountable, but what I'm saying is, y'all put a lot of responsibility on her that should not been put on her. Now y'all question her, and she, you know, she down there doing that voluntarily. Y'all question the amount of people that's down there, how much they're getting paid and all that stuff. Y'all should know part of it yourself.
Like I said, Jessica did not inherit the problem. We just found out about it here with August. Leslie, do you have anything to add or anything?
Some of this was brought about by, we had a correspondence earlier in the summer. Sometimes there were 3 to 4 people working down there simultaneously, and Vicki was down there at the same time. And in discussing it with Jessica when she first took over, we just thought that that was a little, as long as you have 2 or 3 people down there, we don't necessarily need 4 or 5. And I had written an email and asked if there was a problem with scheduling, and if they needed some help, they could certainly come to Beverly, and Beverly would help them with the schedule. And we didn't hear anything back from them.
Leslie, let me ask you, and your best guess, the Welcome Center, how many people a day stop in there?
I have no idea. I have-
Vicki, you want to answer?
I think Ms. Audrey probably gets
Ms.
that
Audrey has all the information.
Just how many people a day?
It would just depend, it could be from 2 to 10 or 15.
Yeah, we're talking 2 to 10 people, you know, 2 to 10 people. Right, thank you, but anyway. That is important. Why would you have 4 people working if you only do 2 trips a day? All right, we're moving on. Andrew Brandon. Oh, gosh. We could have just answered this just now.
Okay, my name is Audrey Brandon. I'm
Audrey,
one of the
sorry.
Broadway Street.
Looks
I
like
am an
Andrea.
employee of the city of Beckley, been there at the Welcome Center for 4 years. We usually close the Welcome Center, like I said, at the end of October, but we were told not to, and it closed a little bit early, so it kind of threw us off. This is unfortunate, as we provide a very unique service to the city of Beckley. The location was perfect. It's adjacent to the McManus Trail for riding bikes. During our first year, we kind of focused on, you know, the bike riding. They put about 1,200 miles on all the bikes that were there at that time. The bikes have grown. We tried to include all kinds of specialty bikes. The bikes were used by friends, parents with children and pets. 3 generations came in riding at one time: mother, daughter, granddaughter, and seniors. We also grew with information because people wanted to know where the best places to eat, where you could go camping, fishing, waterfalls, mom and pop restaurants, and information on housings. We even had realtors coming in because people were wanting to know, relocate here. So they wanted to know the best neighborhoods and that sort of thing. So we got like a lot of business cards.
Our highest attendance this past season, we had 27 kids come from Salvation Army. During the month of June, we had about 15 different states to come through. I gave a report at the last meeting that there were 31 of 50 states totaling that have come over the past 4 years and 8 countries. We would always ask them, you know, what are you coming through West Virginia for? What are you looking for? How can we help you? And they would say, I would hear a lot, well, we're gonna go over to Fayette County, but we wanna come back to Beckley because you got the restaurants, you got the hotels, you got everything here. So they really loved coming here. We had 5 staff, and they offered different talents. We had some that were good on repairing bikes. We had some that were good on computers. We had some that were going to do it good on cleaning up the building, customer service, and so that added to the uniqueness of our building. We were told that our building was in the wrong location, but we felt that it was the right location, was we were adjacent to the trail. I do want to say that out of the 4 years, Miss Baker's only been there like maybe about 4 years. The first 2 years didn't even see her at all. We never had annual meeting. We never got to discuss at the end of the year any problems, anything. So we just kind of continued on our own. There are 4 professionals in this group, okay? We all have degrees. Mine is in physical education, hers is in recreation. I was at the VA, my mouth is dry. I was at the VA over recreation for 33 years, so I bring in that expertise from the VA. It was a very good tourism tool, and I thank everybody for having the opportunity to be able to do that here in the city of Beckley. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Audra.
Okay, how about Steve Webb?
My name is Stephen Webb, and I operate Dice Floral in downtown Beckley. I moved my business there 13 months ago from Robert C. Byrd Drive. I'm requesting that the city designate a parking spot in front of my store for customers to pick up and for my drivers to load their car up for delivery. It's cumbersome to have a driver go down the street, crossing streets to put flowers in cars for delivery. There are several places in town that do have designated spots, and I would like to have one designated for me.
Steve, you have one of those divots in the sidewalk in front of your
Yes.
shop.
Yeah, he does. If you can stay, can I answer this, Mayor?
Yes.
We have a parking commission right after this, and I'm gonna, we just reinstated it last month, and there's some issues from other businesses that have reached out to me since then. So right after this meeting, like 5 minutes after this one ends, we're gonna go into the parking commission. If you're willing to stay, then I'd be more than happy to
Okay,
listen in.
I appreciate that.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Thank you, Steve. Norwood McConnell? Is it Norwood? Is that your? Okay. Paul Brown?
Well, good evening once again, council.
Good evening.
I have thought about what I'm gonna say to you this evening, and honestly, everything that I've made notes about, I'm sure is gonna go out the window. I know that it seems quaint that frequently when I come and speak to you, I talk about things like justice and democracy. But I don't think we should look at things like justice and democracy as some quaint idea of a bygone America that stops at the city line or the county line. Justice and democracy should be our first and foremost priority. We live in a country of a representative democracy. That means that each and every one of you has a seat because the citizens in your district, in your community, have given you a vote of trust and confidence to sit where you sit. They have given you that trust that you will act on their behalf. They have given you that trust that when times get hard, you won't just say, I'm tired of fighting this fight. This is all so overwhelming. I'm tired of dealing with this issue. Can we just give it away so we don't have to think about it anymore? want to know, I understand we do have a lot of educational things here, and that's one of the things that West Virginia needs more than anything else is educational opportunities. But I want to know, seriously, how is it that 2 more vacant pads are going to change the economic development of this county so dramatically that we can't take care of our kids right here and now? How is that possible? There are vacant pads right across the bypass. Anybody racing to buy those? And we talk about working together. In our group, I hate the us and them thing, but for a moment, let me just go down that path with you. Our side of this wants to work with you. We want our council to be our allies. We want each of you to work with us. And further than that, in the future, you may have something that you need our assistance with. You may need us to come and stand and advocate for you just as strongly as we're advocating for these kids right now, which I'm happy to always do, as long as we're on the right side of things. But being willing to work together doesn't mean that we're willing to accept the table scraps. It doesn't mean that we're willing to accept whatever just happens to fall off the king's table. Being willing to work together doesn't mean that a few wealthy people get to decide about what a piece of property, what happens with that property, while
30
the rest
seconds.
of us sit idly by and just take whatever's there. Being willing to work together would have been saying, wow, you all really have done something beautiful with this 30 acres. You can go ahead and do something, continue doing something beautiful with that, and we as a county will be happy to have the other 100 so we can do something special
Time.
alongside you. Yeah, I know, democracy doesn't end in 3 minutes. I'm sorry, but thanks for your time.
Tom Mosley.
Good evening.
First off, I want to thank Councilwoman Coots, Mr. File, Mayor Neal, and Councilman Reedy for moving forward to recognize our citizens. I also want to thank Chief Bailey for your added patrols down Whole Street, as speeding is an issue throughout all of Bailey. But with that, I did have a little speech. So many of you on this council I've called friend. Some of you I've had heated debates with, and that's okay. We're not always going to get along. But I believe this council as a whole wants to do what's right. Just please understand, the public's trust is broken from actions from the former council. So it's a little harder to trust. I do believe that many of you ran on transparency and ethics. So you're expected to show transparency and ethics moving forward, ethical behavior. So I think going forward, if you lay everything out to the public, every decision, there's no room for misinformation. And I think we have to do that to have a future and for you to do what you need to do. That's what I'm asking. Be transparent, be ethical, and that's all I ask.
Thank you, Tom. Gary Boland.
Yeah, my name is Gary Boland. I live at 200 Mercer Street. Y'all forgive me for a minute. I suffer from PTSD. I'm one of them crazy veterans, but I represent 2 different veteran programs from down at the VA. One of them is called PTG, Post-Traumatic Giving. The other one is the Mental Health Council, Veterans Helping Veterans. What we're asking the city of Beckley for is space. We'd like to have a warm space to be able to do things like put bicycles together. Christmas is coming on, but it's not just Christmas time. This is a year-round thing. We've been in contact with churches. We've been in touch with teachers. We want to give to the needy. We don't want to make a show of it. We don't even want to thank you out of it. We just want to give out for our hearts. Proverbs 17:22, a merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit will dry the bone. So we want to give. On November the 2nd, there's what they call a stand down out in Bluefield, where the government gives away surplus. But after they do the give away of surplus, what's left over, it just disappears. We don't have a place to store that kind of stuff, so we need not only a warm place to work, also need a little storage space. There's somebody that had a house full of furniture, a 96-year-old lady had to go into assisted living. They had a house full of furniture. We want to help people, so we need a little storage space transitioning for people that's out there. We want to help first responders because they run across folks that's in need, that needs a jacket, a flight jacket, a blanket, something keeps them warm. I got a whole bunch of just simple plastic coverings for people to keep dry that we can hand out to them. So we want to give to people, and we just need some space. And I'm hoping that the city council might be able to come up with something like that. God
30
bless
seconds.
you all, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there is a parking commission immediately after or shortly after adjournment. So with that, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Thank you.
Ready, Mr. Chairman?
Your show there.